Hey, everybody, welcome to the Rusty Raptor Podcast. I'm Garrett,
I'm Matt.
and this is the podcast you're probably not listening to.
Most likely. All right. So what's been going on?
Not much, man. Just normal work grind and family stuff, and I'll just get it started off hot. I watched the new Jurassic Park, and I hate it.
I know I heard. I'm excited to hear your reviews. You know I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, but I have some strong views on this new one. So let's see what you had to say.
Oh man, it was. I mean, they were reaching so far. It was just monotonous.
I'm gonna throw it there now before you go any further, by the way, just so everyone here knows, for the next, I don't know, let's say 10, 15 minutes, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers coming up because I'm giving them away if you don't. So feel free.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't, and if you're somebody that's a diehard Jurassic Park fan, like Matt is, then maybe you should listen and not waste your money. Because
Mm-hmm.
the only plus I have to say about that movie was that I rented it on Amazon Prime and didn't go see it in the theaters.
And we went to see it in the theaters.
I'm sorry.
So I know it was a long seating, and like we were looking at our phone. It was just.
It was like, okay, I see what they tried to do there with the nostalgic aspect of it. I get that. And honestly, like the few people I've heard that said that movie's good, I feel like that's why. Because oh my gosh, it's nostalgic, blah blah blah. Well, I'm sorry, but the only cool part about the nostalgic aspect of it was seeing the old cast and the new cast, working together. Other than that, I thought it was bullshit. Excuse my French.
Well, that's my problem. So see, the problem I had with it, first off, when it first opened up, like the first couple scenes made no sense at all. Like they were wrangling dinosaurs to take them wherever, and then
to the black market.
Yeah, to the black market. Yeah, they're like wrangling dinosaurs into the black market. Like you're not going to see a dinosaur. Someone's given. It's not like a painting you're hanging on your wall in your house. Oh, what's that in your backyard? Is that Bronchiosaurus? Yeah, seen that before. That's nice. Good stuff. You
Nice.
get that on the black market, did you?
Is that Amazon?
Yeah. Is that a fake one? Where'd you get that from? Wish app? But then like they bring in the original cast, which I'll say now, the only person in that entire movie that seemed like he knew how to still act was. No, I wasn't even going to go with that one. No, I was going to say Alan Grant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He seemed like the only person who remembered how his character was. Like, I think Jeff Goldblum didn't do bad acting in it. I just don't think if you compare his character to the very first movie, the way he acted or the way he carried himself, I don't think it wasn't the same. I think he carried himself in this movie like Jeff Goldblum. Sure. And that was where my problem came into play.
I could totally 100% see that.
But and I loved the fact they brought the original ones in, but the storyline besides that had nothing to it.
Bullshit. Like the whole storyline was just stupid. They were already reaching in the last one when they were doing we're mixing the DNA and we're doing basically a black market auction and all these rich people and blah blah.
I didn't like the last one. I'm gonna throw that out now. I didn't think the last one was a very good movie at all.
The first one with Chris Pratt in it, like I actually liked it, and a lot of people hated it. And I don't know if that was partially because, oh my gosh, it's been so long since we've had a Jurassic Park movie. I did like the concept that, okay, well, we're going to reopen Jurassic Park, and it was like, it was Jurassic Park, but with the new technology, with the gyrosphere or whatever the thing was called when they were driving. I mean, it was a cool concept. I could understand doing that, but it was just, they were grabbing at straws, and it was, I don't know.
And see, my problem with like I said, that was my problem too. My problem with the so I liked the first one out of the series, and I don't know that it was because the movie was the best movie I'd ever seen. I think it was more the fact that it was, like you said, you hadn't heard a Jurassic Park movie in how many years? I mean, I don't know how many years was between them at this point. I should know that, you would think, but I don't.
But yeah, right.
And you get excited to see it, but I don't think that what they did and how they made it had the same feel as the original. I think that it was a lot less. Even if you go back to the original very first movie, the film itself, one, was written much better. Two, even the CGI in the original one looks better than the CGI now. I mean, that the T-Rex in the very original one, that the scenes where it was CGI and not animatronic, still looks more realistic than the dinosaurs they had in any one of these the new movies.
Yeah, it was definitely overly CGI'd for sure.
Yeah. And it was like, because me and Lindsay was laughing at the very beginning of the movie. There was a scene, it was in the very beginning where they're showing all the different dinosaurs all over the world. And there's a scene where there's a dinosaur hanging out by a train track.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I'm like, did someone film that on like an app on their phone? Like, what is that? Like, it looked like one of those apps that you like, yeah, like you get off your phone, you're like, hey, look at this, look, I can put a dinosaur next to that. Check that out, dude. And I'm like, really? Like, it took them 3.5 years to, after the movie was supposed to have come out in the first place or whatever it was, and they still go, that's good enough. That'll be fine. That's
right. Like, I've seen better CGI in 80s horror movies than I did in CGI. Wasn't even a thing in the 80s, guys. Like, that's how bad the CGI is in the new one. Like, it was just,
it's rough. And then, like,
it was like they made a Jurassic Park movie just to make a Jurassic Park movie. Like, it didn't follow a storyline. The storyline that it did have, the entire plot was dumb.
And then, see, my problem is, like, so the very first one made, like, the first Jurassic World movie kind of made sense. They were going back to Jurassic World. Everything screws up. Everything goes downhill.
Right. The second one, that little clip of the the Ford Explorer and the Jeeps, like when they open the doors and in there, it was like a throwback.
And it makes sense. Sure. Like the storyline made sense. Then you got into the second one, which was Fallen Kingdom, right? Fallen Kingdom came second. And then, so you got into that one, and then they start going to the thing where, they're giving, like you said, the black market for the dinosaurs. They're selling them off. And then they have the little girl, Maisie, where they're, she's a clone, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't seen the second one at this point, guys, too bad.
Spoiler alert. She's in the third, this one too.
Yeah. Yeah. If you would, but they get into that part where they have like the clone thing, and you're like, where are we heading with this? And then they get to the new one, and you're like, the whole movie's about the cricket from the movie Bug's Life.
It's like, exactly.
I mean, the entire movie is based in that whole series. Like, there's no way around it. It's just a giant cricket that's killing plants.
Right.
But at the same time, it has nothing to do with the other part of the story. They're just there searching for an answer. And you're like, I just don't get how someone thought, what we need to do is we need to give this movie a headliner. That's what we need to do.
And like in the scene where they're the guys going out to the field, and then all those fucking crickets take off, and it's just like, I mean, they're not even like, what was the whole point of the cricket? I mean, is a cricket this damn big for what?
Yeah.
Made zero sense. Oh, let me just carry this cricket around in a damn lunchbox, and then let's do research on it, and let's tame it. Really? Like, yeah, because
I just expected like some kind of little miniature dinosaurs riding them or something like that later on.
That's going to be Jurassic Park 4, the Rise of the Crickets for sure.
Well, did you ever hear the big rumor that was out that originally they were supposed to have on Jurassic Park 3 or something like that, the original, they were supposed to be, the Lost World one. I think it was originally supposed to go in a different way than it did, and I think that's the one. I could be wrong. Either that, there was supposed to be a reboot later on, but I don't know if even this is even real. I've read it online a few times that Spielberg originally planned on having dinosaur human hybrid creatures that were coming to life. And like, I guess they even started to, supposedly they even started to cast people for the movie originally, and then I guess dropped it because someone went,
That's gonna be like that's exactly that's gonna be like the Tank Girl with the kangaroo people.
I haven't seen Tank Girl, so I mean, I'll
You
assume
call
that's right.
yourself a nerd.
I know, right? You would think I
Yeah.
would. I know. We just talked about
Well,
it the
there's
other day
kangaroo
too.
people, and so and it's literally they were kangaroos crossed over with like men, and yeah.
See, that sounds right. That doesn't sound bad though. That sounds better than this movie, honestly. I mean, that
Hey,
makes more
you
sense.
remember in the first one when the Triceratops was sick?
Yeah.
The very first one, and like they stick their hand in the big pile of shit. What did they pull out? Do you remember what they pulled out of there?
I think it was the new movie.
Yeah, the script to Dominion.
Yeah, the
Yep.
script for Dominion. Yeah. See,
Yeah, so
I'm pretty positive
everybody go
exactly what
see
it was.
Dominion. It's so good.
It's in box offices now. You can grab your tickets online, I'm sure, at your local theaters.
Yeah, or just, listen to us and wait till it
And
comes out
don't
on
go.
VHS.
Yeah, that's where it should be going, is VHS, because no one needs to see it.
Right.
It was just, and I think they're even supposed to be going on with another series of stuff now. It's supposed to be that part of that portion of the storyline is now dead, but I think they're talking about going into a new storyline, as if they left a lot of ground for that.
Maybe they should instead invest in a time machine and go back and not make Dominion.
That could
would
be
probably
a
be
better
better
investment of the
for
money.
their studio and better for their job security.
Now, I will say this much for those out there that like Jurassic Park: the new Camp Cretaceous on Netflix is a heck of a series. It is a cartoon, but like it's a cartoon, and it's still better than the new movie, like by far. And it's set in the same world too. It's Jurassic World, and it's even, you can go to the two movies, I guess, and match up scenes of stuff that happened, because it's about kids in a camp that went to camp at Jurassic World, and they're at dinosaur camp, like kind of almost like space camp, I guess. You go to dinosaur camp, and they're at dinosaur camp, and that's when all the stuff happens in the first Jurassic World movie. So all the dinosaurs get out and they go loose, but they get stuck on the island, and the boats left them. And you go through like series of weeks and weeks of like them trying to make their way out. And even though this is a kids movie, there's people getting eaten by dinosaurs and stuff. So like, I don't know how you can go wrong with
I
that.
finally found that on Netflix the other day and added it to my
Did
watch
you?
list. I haven't watched it yet.
You gotta. I will say this much: I didn't think I was gonna like it, but Jensen started to watch it, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I was like, "What now? What do we watch? Hold on now," because there was like people dying and eaten by dinosaurs. I'm like, "Oh, this isn't just like a kid show. This is like legit stuff." So we sat down and watched it, and I haven't seen the new season yet, but I've heard it ends well. So
Right on.
I don't know.
There's got to be something to save the Jurassic Park world right now.
It's Alan Grant.
There was one scene that I
handkerchief.
did really like, and they were talking about the electric fence. He goes, "You know how that feels?" And he goes, "Actually, I do." Because right before he responded, I was like, "Actually, yeah, he does." And then he goes,
and exactly. See, that's my thing. That's the only reason. That's why I think his character, to me, was the only one out of the whole movie that made sense, because I feel like he went back and actually watched the old movies and said, "Okay, this is how I was in those movies. I want to act like that again."
kind of to get back.
Everyone else, like,
yeah,
like I don't feel like that Laura Dern did that. I don't feel like the Jeff Goldblum really went back and looked at their movies. I think they just kind of go, "Yeah, it's."
Well, you got to think too, though. Jeff
Jurassic.
Goldblum's been in the last couple, so
yeah,
it's
true.
He's basing off that character now, not the '93 character.
And the problem with him though is, I think, and I like Jeff Goldblum, I do, but I think nowadays he spends too much time trying to be Jeff Goldblum.
That guy,
yeah, that guy, like the guy that everyone expects Jeff Goldblum to be, which is like the guy from the apartment commercials on TV,
right.
And if you look back at his stuff now, he's still not bad, and it's still it's still entertaining, but he's Jeff Goldblum, and that's kind of like what it is, which is fine.
Like that's just how he is, and that's and he could, get, casted for Batman tomorrow, but it would be Jeff Goldblum in a Batman suit, like he,
in a Batman costume. Yeah,
That would
and I
be
don't
kind
think
of
it's
cool. I'm not gonna
bad.
lie. Jeff Goldblum was Batman.
I know, right? I know.
Mess with that.
Someone write that down. It couldn't be as bad as
It won't be
Dominion.
bad as yeah.
Uh, like couldn't go any worse. But no, I think the problem is I think the only reason it's weird in this one is because if you compare it to what you remember him being in the original,
Sure.
you're comparing two of the same characters, but they're not the same. So you're like, But if you only came into Jurassic World and only knew him from Jurassic World, his character would be the same, and it wouldn't be bad at all. It's
Right.
just if you go back and forth between them, I think. But
I was kind of
what do I
surprised
know?
neither of the kids were in it. I figured they would at least make a cameo, or
I know, right? You think they would have done something?
I thought, because the whole time when we were watching, I was like, I wonder if the kids are going to be in it, and it was just, man. And that's the thing.
Well, I
Like,
know the kid.
I don't think there was, other than like the character, like what we were talking about, how Alan was the only one that still felt like Alan Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call. I mean, it had a good cast, in my opinion. I mean, it was a pretty good cast, and the acting wasn't bad. For me, it was just the entire storyline was like, it was just they were reaching way too far. Like it.
Yeah, it wasn't the cast fault at all. I just don't think they had. I mean, if you give someone nothing to work with,
Right.
what are you going to do? I mean, it's not their
Make
fault.
Dominion.
They can't. I mean, you're not giving them lines. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But like, it's not the actors. I personally don't think most of the time it's ever the actor's fault that a movie or a TV show goes downhill. I mean, they can only do what there's very few actors that are allowed to just go off script and do whatever they want. And I don't think any of these actors are at the level where the people on, the set and that kind of stuff are going, yeah, you go do what you want. I don't care. Play how you want it. I think they're given a specific script. They're told to keep that script, and that's where they go.
Sure. So. I think they focused way too much on the nostalgic aspect of it and left a lot. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. We'll have the original cast in there. That way we can still make a garbage movie and people will like it because we got the original cast in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and my problem was too, like you said, the nostalgia stuff, that there's a lot of little Easter eggs inside the movie. I think like there was, if you watch back through it, and people who haven't watched through it all the way or don't know that much about the, let's say, props from Jurassic Park, the original and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I spend a lot of time dealing with the props from Jurassic World or Jurassic Park because we put them in our Jeep and all that kind of stuff, and all that kind of, and I'm in a lot of groups out of that. So there's a lot of pieces that if you go back into the movie and watch it, I was hitting Lindsay going, look, there it is. There's this. And like in Alan's little tent thing, you saw the original raptor claw that was hanging from the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the office scene, you saw the original Barbasol can that was supposed to be Nedry's that got dropped in the mud. There was a lot of little small things that were kickbacks.
Drop it again in the Dominion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could.
Yeah. So it's just like there was a lot of kickbacks that I don't know that 90% of people are going to notice,
right?
Because some of them were. I mean, they even had the raptor call thing in one of the scenes in the background, in that kind of, the little raptor chamber thing. But a lot of that stuff, I think it's lost on a lot of people because no one's paying attention to a lot of the background. They're trying to go, oh, what's going on in this new story?
Sure.
And then there wasn't a story there. So
yeah, and unfortunately, and that happens a lot nowadays with, remakes, requels, however you want to put them. It's more of an homage with a bullshit storyline. I mean, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but when Cobra Kai first came out, I was in love. I was like, yes, this is awesome. And I watched it and I'm like, this is so awesome. And then after, I'm like telling everybody, you should watch it. But then when I went, like, because every time there's a new season it comes out, I'll go back and rewatch all of them, just refresh my mind and everything. But every single time I watch it, I watch that first season, and that's all it is it's just pinging on that nostalgia and the little Easter eggs here, and the, certain scenes that are basically remakes of scenes in the original 3 movies and stuff like that. And so then it's like, well, there's really no storyline in the first. I mean, there is, but it's pretty mediocre.
Oh no, where'd you go?
And it doesn't really take off until the second season because, okay, we've already played out all the, as much nostalgia. Okay, we're back. Sorry, folks, we're having some technical difficulties again. But yeah,
that
like
was
I
a commercial
saying,
break.
Yeah, word from our sponsors. So,
Jurassic Park Dominion in theaters now.
Go see it. But yeah, and they kick, there's a lot of throwback scenes and a lot of stuff that you'll understand had you been a fan of the original movies. But the storyline doesn't really take off till season 2. And I mean, of course, like I said, there is a storyline there, and it's not a bad storyline. It's just very mediocre. So, and after I was thinking about this the other day, I feel like you with Dominion is me with the 2017 Power Rangers movie. Like,
yeah,
if it wasn't a Power Rangers movie or supposed to be a Power Rangers movie, probably would have been okay. But just the ridiculous way they twisted it, I don't know, just irritates me.
Yeah, and you see, that's the thing. That's exactly what I told Lindsay when we watched the newer Power Ranger movie, because we watched it and I'm like, if this hadn't been a Power Ranger movie, or if they hadn't made it as a reboot of Power Rangers, I'm like, that would have been a good movie. Right. But I'm like, there was so much stuff you couldn't look past because you're thinking in your head going, but
just like with them making it out that Rita was originally a Power Ranger and this and that, and it's just like, I mean, it was just, I don't know, it wasn't good.
I don't know that I need to dive that deep into the storyline of the Power Rangers is my problem. Like they got in that movie, they tried to go super deep with the background, and
right.
I don't know that I need that much back. It's not something I wasn't going in there going, what's the origin story here? Like, I don't need an origin story for every character. Just give me a good movie. Well, that doesn't need to be.
And when you think about it, that's 90% of the movie is everyone's background story. And then you have the fight scene at the end, and that's the movie. And then after the credits, you see a little, Tommy Oliver thing, like they're going to make a second one, and then,
and they didn't make enough money
5 years ago, so we all know how that went. So,
yeah, Bryan Cranston just went down the hill there, didn't he?
Right.
And that was a weird casting too. I mean,
it was.
I don't know.
It definitely was.
Okay. All right. So I got a question. All right. So we're already talking about poorly done remakes or whatever. I know we talked about this kind of stuff last time too. But if you had to pick one out of all the things, TV shows, and they're bringing back every TV show ever made, and they're bringing back every movie ever made, which one is the worst?
Oh.
Uh-huh. It's a tough one, right?
I will definitely, for sure, one of the first ones that pops in my head is Power Rangers. But the Ninja Turtle movies I thought were garbage, the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of. There's some that
I know, I always put you on the spot.
Huh?
I just put you on the spot so hard, don't I?
Right. Well, there's some that I just won't even watch because they're just garbage. I'll tell you right now, probably my least favorite continuance is the Halloweens because, like I said, in whatever episode we did before, I could go on and on about that. Like this whole new series or these last 3 or last 2, and then the one coming out this year. Not a fan.
Not a fan. I don't know. There's just so many remakes of shows now.
Well, they ran out of
I don't
ideas.
Yeah, and I think one of my least favorite that came on TV, not just movies, the Girl Meets World that came on.
I tried to watch 3 episodes and it was
we always try to give it at least 2 episodes just to see if there's okay, the first episode we'll give it to you. It was probably a pilot. You did, you were trying to get some kind of storyline out, but you're like, come on, and then it just gets worse.
I wonder if you're like me. Do you? Oh, how do I even explain it? I like the simplicity of the older shows and just the filming of it,
Uh-huh.
where you can tell it's on a set, you know. Um, and with the Girl Meets World, I felt like I was watching iCarly or that Sam or whatever that, the newer style Nickelodeon shows. That was the vibe
Yeah.
it gave off. It didn't give me Boy Meets World vibes. And
Well, and
Saved
everything
by the
nowadays is so
Bell
dumbed
remake was
down.
horrible too. If you've not watched it,
Oh, I forgot
I
about
think
that
it's
one.
on
I watched an
Peacock,
episode of that.
isn't it? I think it was like straight to
Yeah,
Peacock. But yeah, and I loved Saved by the Bell growing up. I used to watch it
I
every
do
morning.
too.
But yeah, I wasn't. I won't. Well, let me rephrase it. I won't sit here and say it was garbage or it was horrible. It didn't live up to my
I'll say it.
expectations.
It was horrible. It was garbage. I'll just straight say it.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, well, I
Once
won't.
again,
This isn't a nice podcast.
right, once again, they tried to have you hooked on the nostalgia more than they did anything else.
But then they didn't give it to you anyways. They just gave
Yeah,
you
cameos.
a
That
few
was about it.
scenes of your original character. Yeah, it was cameos of the people you knew, and then a bunch of stuck-up kids in a Richie type high school.
Right.
Like it wasn't like, I mean, I get they were supposed to be like the Richie high school and that kind of stuff in the original, but it didn't come off that way.
Right.
It came off as kids doing hijinks on their school.
Right.
It didn't come off as just because Zach had a cell phone and he was rich and this and that. It didn't come off that way. It didn't come off as a snotty kid who did this, and this.
Sure.
It came off as a group of kids going through high school together that were doing stupid stuff that you don't do in normal life.
It's one of those like less is more, like I was saying with the simplicity of it. Just less is more. If you're gonna give me a Boy Meets World spinoff, or if you're gonna give me a Saved by the Bell spinoff, less is more. You don't have to. It's like they try too hard for that comedic effect. Like every little one liner has to be a joke, and and it's just like it's unnecessary.
And my problem is too, I think I'd prefer they just bring back the whole original cast. Don't go into like let's say Girl Meets World. I don't need to care about what his kid is doing.
Right.
It wasn't that's not what bringing back the show was. Just follow him and Topanga's life for all that matters. I mean, follow them as their main characters. Don't follow the girl who you don't care about or her friends on the show who you don't really care about. Follow the people who made the show originally and just build the show off of. It's not like you can't have a show about an adult's life. I mean,
right.
And there's no reason to.
They did the same thing with Fuller House.
Yeah, see, I liked the beginning of that, but when it first started, but like I think as it went on, it was lagging, and they didn't know where. I think they didn't know how to keep it going. Was the problem?
But and that is one of the reasons, like exactly what you're saying there, with the follow Corey and Topanga's life, or Sean's life, or Eric's life. That's kind of why I liked Cobra Kai so much, because I felt like we picked up right where we left off in the 80s. But with some of these shows, it's like, okay, yeah, there's those people I remember, but now I've got a whole new story I got to pay attention to, or a whole new, who's this person? Okay, that's that. Okay, and it was just kind of, I don't know, it's hard, yeah.
And I think Cobra Kai is slowly losing their way a little bit.
Yeah,
like they weren't at first. I mean, they were strong on where they were heading with it, and they seemed like they knew what was going on. But now this is the crotch shot.
That's free.
So we turn into a different kind of podcast.
House is expensive. I'm starting an OnlyFans.
Hey, no judgment here. No judgment here. But I just think that they're slowly losing where they're heading with the show. And hey, who knows what's going to happen next season? I mean, it may change completely, but I don't know that. I like the show. I like it a lot. I mean, I like it a whole lot. But from the very first season of it, when it was on YouTube instead of Netflix, yeah, you like it just a tiny. I mean, I might like it a little more than you. I don't know. I don't know.
Actually, I had these done before that show came out. Just putting that out there.
Sure you did. You just jumped on the bandwagon as soon as they grabbed it.
Shit.
Is what happened. Yeah, you act like you watched it on YouTube and stuff,
Right?
but
YouTube Red,
like
baby.
most people
Free
don't even
trial for 30
most
days.
people don't even
Binge
know it was
watch it
on
all.
YouTube. And get it out of the way. No, yeah. Can you is YouTube Red even still a thing?
I don't know. That was the last time I ever messed with YouTube Red, and that was simply for that reason.
Yeah. See, I don't know if that's even still a thing. I don't know.
You know, like we talk about
like
not
MySpace.
promoting, you know, like sharing your passwords for Netflix and stuff. But legitimately, when I met, who did I meet? It might have been when I met William Zabka and Martin Cove. We were standing there talking, and someone said something about, you know, what's Cobra Kai? And they were like, "Oh, well, it's a new TV." The people thought they were just, you know, the Karate Kid guys, and that's kind of how I, always grew up with them. And but they were like, "Well, what's this Cobra Kai you're talking about?" And Martin Cove was like, "Oh, well, it's our new series. You know, we're picking up where we left off, you know, in the original movies." And she goes, "Oh, well, what's it? You know, what's it on?" And he says, "Well, it's on YouTube. It's called YouTube Red." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Yeah, you have to sign up for it." And he flat out goes, "Yeah, just sign up for the trial, and then just you can binge watch it." He's like, "They're only like 30-minute episodes, so just cancel your subscription after you're done." And I was like, "That's awesome, yes."
And that's why YouTube Red didn't
Right.
last.
Thanks a lot,
Sorry.
Martin Cove.
Yeah, way to go. If he'd just promoted it a little bit more, I mean, isn't he like in his 80s? Is he 80s? Is that right?
I know he's high 70s because we talked for a little while. Let's see.
I mean, that dude's doing good for how old he is.
76.
76. So he's not as old as I thought. Okay, so I'm just aging him a lot.
Yep.
But
they're pretty good guys. If anyone ever gets a
Had
chance
high
to meet them
hopes.
at a convention, go up and talk with them. They're better than, you know, they're, well, not better, but they're just not the type celebrities that you meet that just,
you can't say better and then take it away.
Well, I mean, it just meaning like they're better than, okay, I'll say they're better than most celebrities that just want to take your money, sign your autograph, and send you on your way. They'll actually have a conversation with you or write on your hand so that you can get it tattooed on.
Okay, so you brought it up, so I'm going to ask it. You've been to a lot of conventions. For those of you who don't know, Garrett used to write the convention corner on the Rusty Raptor prop shop page, or rustyraptor.com. And he'd visited a lot of conventions and has met a lot of celebrities. Who is the nicest celebrity you've ever met?
Well, and there's two. There's two that to this day I've still, and don't get me wrong, I've met a lot of celebrities and a lot of nice celebrities, and so I'm not just saying.
I can vote on one right now.
Which one?
I'm not gonna. It has to do with this coloring.
Okay, on the count of three.
Back here.
Say your favorite dinosaur. No. So there's two. The one I would have to say was probably the nicest to just talk to and very humble was Sid Haig, who played Captain Spaulding. For those that don't know, I'm a huge, Rob Zombie movie fan. He's one of those, only charges $10 for an autograph, and it's literally to cover the cost of printing his pictures. He doesn't charge you to take photos with him.
That's amazing by itself, by the way. Anyone out there who doesn't know, that's an amazing low price.
And he's just very humble, very nice guy to talk to. I mean, you could sit there and talk to him about movies or shows he's been in, or you can sit there and talk to him about the weather. Very soft-spoken, very nice guy. But probably the nicest celebrity I've met, and not a lot of people are going to know this name, is Doug Jones. So,
Doug Jones. Really?
For those that don't know, I've only ever seen Doug Jones not in special effects in one TV show, and he played one of the prison guards in Sons of Anarchy.
Really? I didn't know that.
He was just a little short, wasn't on screen very long, but he's always the creature, or I think he's probably got some of the most Funko Pops because he was the creature in the shape of water. He was Billy in Hocus Pocus, the Winifred's boyfriend that she sewed his mouth shut. he always does the special effects stuff. And so he's been in so many movies, but nobody really knows who he is. He was actually in Tank Girl as one of the kangaroo guys. Now that I think about it, but yeah,
Really?
and he's just extremely nice. After I met him, I even told Trevor, I was with him at the time, and I was like, that's probably the nicest celebrity I've ever met. I think he went to Ball State, and so when I get up there, I'm like, oh hey, nice to meet you, and I get his autograph. I got my wife a 8x10 of Billy autographed by him. She's a big Hocus Pocus fan, and we get to talk, and I was like, my wife went to Ball State also, and he's just, oh man, that's wonderful. Once again, very soft spoken, and he always has a long line, and his line takes forever because he will talk at least 5 minutes to every single person. Robert Englund's like that too, but this is gonna sound weird. So when we get done leaving, I put my hand out to shake his hand, and I was like, well, it was very nice to meet you. I appreciate you, extending my hand. He gives me a hug. Of course, this was a couple years ago, COVID. He was hugging everybody. Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
And he gives me a hug, and he's like, well, thank you so much. And it was like the warmest, like, heartfelt hug I've ever received in my entire life. Like, I don't even think my parents hugged me like that when I graduated high school. They were probably just really surprised that I did. But it was just a really meaningful conversation, and you could tell he's just a genuine, that's just him. He wasn't putting on a front or acting like anything, and I'll stand by that he's probably the nicest celebrity I've met.
See, I didn't think that's where you were heading with that, but it does sound about right though. By the way, speaking of, you said something about a long line. Did you hear about the guy, the Stranger Things guy crying at a convention?
Wait, what? No.
The one that I haven't seen the new season. The guy that plays I think Eddie or something like that. I guess he's a newer actor. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the new series or new season yet. But I guess he was in a convention. I think it was London. I don't know, London Comic-Con or something like that. And since he's newer, I guess, this is just what I've read online. I don't know. I don't know the full story. So anyone out there that is listening, just bear with me. But basically, from what I understand, is he had a long line of people because everyone was super excited that he was there. And he was spending a lot of time talking to each person that came up there. But I guess he wasn't going fast enough for the convention, so he wasn't selling enough autographs fast enough. They wanted him to move a lot faster because his line was so long, because everyone wanted to meet him. And I guess they came up and yelled at him about it. And I guess he was on stage somewhere later on. I guess he broke down at some point, and he's canceled all his convention. He started to cancel all his convention appearances now because he doesn't want to do it now, because the management for that convention was yelling at him and that kind of stuff in front of everyone, telling him he needed to speed up.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, that was not even mildly one. Either one of those people were not one of the people I thought you were going to jump into, but I don't know. I had it.
Who were you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not bringing someone else up. I mean, you should know who I'm talking about, but I'm assuming maybe there's a reason you didn't mention that specific
just say it.
Character.
I'm so confused on what you're talking about.
The Green Power Ranger?
Different.
Like nothing. No,
me and him are just homies.
That's not different. That's still. I set you up for that one, and then you just dropped it like it was nothing.
Just
like
full of surprises.
I was like, man, maybe.
And you just.
Maybe I thought something. Maybe like I'm like, man, maybe they had a falling out or something. Like I don't know. Like
this weekend. That's like that's probably my coolest.
I didn't
flex,
get invited,
though,
but he did. That's cool.
I know him.
I know. I was opening it up for you to bring it up.
No, don't get me wrong. He's definitely one of the coolest people to meet, and he'll, even in a con setting, you pay for their autograph, but he's the type of guy that's not, he'll sit there and if you got a handful of stuff, he'll sign everything, even though, let's say you only paid for one autograph. Like he did that to me. I was holding my dragon dagger, just wanted to get a picture of him holding it. He goes, "Hey, you want me to sign that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." and he was just grabbing on my hand. He took a picture with it and put it on his Instagram and then autographed it for me. I mean, he's super rad to meet. But it's just, I don't know. I still think, yeah.
The Doug Jones story was much better, though. I'm going to be honest. That was a much better story than what I was assuming I was
and
going to
it's
get out
not
of you.
like,
So
JDF isn't humble or JDF isn't, nice or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. And this really isn't me trying to flex, but it's like, because him and I are friends, I know him, like we talk about motorcycles. We don't talk about Power Rangers or, and I know he is a celebrity, but I don't, like, when I talk to him, I don't feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. I just feel like I'm texting back and forth with one of my buddies. So it's, that maybe that's why it just didn't pop in my head. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've met thousands and thousands of people, and there's been really nice ones, but for some reason, the Doug Jones just has always stood out to me for all of them. And it was just that warm embrace he gave me.
So my question comes into play. By the way, there's something I think going on with your microphone every once in a while. It goes every once in a while.
For those that don't know, I'm in my
okay.
basement, and I have hardwood floors, so my kids are walking around upstairs, so you're probably hearing the floors creaking.
No, I think it's some kind of connection problem, but it's okay. We're doing okay. If someone's made it this far in, it's their problem. So the question comes into play now is, if that was your nicest celebrity you've met, there has to be the
I'll tell you, the one I don't like at all. You want me? Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I wasn't joking. I could care less.
I didn't know how deep you wanted me to go. Probably the one celebrity I met that I did not like was Tiny Lester, the guy that played Debo on Friday.
Tiny Lester.
He was an asshole, an absolute asshole, and I don't care what people say. They, a lot of people, like, when we talked about it, they kind of stuck up for him a little bit, and they were like, well, he just always stays in that Debo character. Well, yeah, because that's the only thing he's known for. But they were like, he just, as soon as we picked him up off, at the airport, he was, in Debo mode. Here's the part that pissed me off. It was the time I met Sid Haig. It was when I was up in Detroit, for Astronomicon. That's what it's called. And Sid Haig, Captain Spaulding, was there, and he had been in panels and photo ops and stuff like that most of the day. So he wasn't at his table. And now, don't get me wrong, part of this issue that I'm about to explain was kind of the fault of the convention management as well. And it was just simply the way they laid out everything. So Sid Haig finally makes it to his table, and we're waiting in line. And so they had Sid Haig on a corner, like on an end cap, and then there was an entire row of celebrities and tables and stuff right here. Unfortunately, because the way everything was set up and because the scheduling that they did with Sid Haig of having him away from his table most of the day, everyone was lined up. Well, you kind of got to keep the aisle clear, so we were all lined up along the tables. And we were basically blocking other celebrities' tables. Not blocking them, but, there was a line in front of their table. So it made people walking through, and, it made it a little harder to see who was who and where everybody was. So I will take put some of the blame on the convention, schedulers and management of how they laid it out. But I'm sitting there in line waiting to meet Sid Haig, and I'm probably 2 feet from his table. Like, I'm basically at the end of his 8-foot, 6-foot table, whatever it was. This guy comes walking down the aisle, and he looks over, and he's like, excuse me, and a couple people move, and he goes to Debo's table. He's like, hey, man, I'm a big fan. And I kid you not, this is the whole time what he was doing. Staring at his phone. Wouldn't even look up at this kid. This kid's like, yeah, I'm a big fan. Hey, it's nice to meet you. Doesn't say anything, just staring down at his phone. Now, mind you, before this kid came up, he was bitching about the line being in front of his table and so on and so forth. So, I mean, he was a little bit pissed, but whatever. So I'm assuming it was his girlfriend or wife or what have you was there with him, because there was also a younger kid, maybe 8 to 10-year-old kid there. I'm assuming was theirs, and this kid's literally talking to him, talking and trying to get a response, anything, and the girlfriend, wife, whoever she was like, "Well, do you got any money?" And this kid was just like, "No, I just wanted to say hi and that I was a fan." And she's like, "Well, if you ain't got no money, you need to move along because he ain't gonna talk to you." And he not one time looked, yeah. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I thought that was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, you're not even, I don't really care. You're not even a big celebrity. You've been in a bunch of movies, but only anyone knows you from Devo and Friday. And so, yeah, that was probably the rudest celebrity to fan interaction I've seen in out of 1,000 celebrities I've met throughout the years.
Wow. And that's the thing. Most of them are happy to
That's what
talk to
they're
you, even if
there
you don't come up
for.
there and buy something or, get an autograph or a photo. Yeah, they'll it's not like they're not going to talk to you. I mean, because at RaptorCon, I mean, the celebrities stood there and talked with people forever. I mean, it wasn't like if you just because you weren't buying an autograph or weren't buying a photo, they weren't
Right.
going, hit the road, kid. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. They were there. And I think that's what, you're there for a weekend. You might as well have fun with it. It's
Right.
not going to be just,
Well, and that's like,
I,
there's been numerous times. So
so,
when me and Trevor go to conventions together, we always we have a list of, the website or whatever of who all's going to be there, we're really wanting to get, this will be a maybe person, and this one, we may want to hit this panel or do so on and so forth. So when we get there, him and I like don't. I mean, we do sometimes. We'll split up, and I'll go to this person that maybe he's not wanting to get their autograph or he's already met, and vice versa. But 90% of the time, we just stay together, and I'll wait in line with him, or he'll wait in line with me for somebody. And just while he's getting his autograph, if it's somebody I've never met before, hey, just tell you I'm a big fan. Nice to meet you. I'm not there. I don't need every single person's autograph. Sometimes I
yeah.
prefer the interactions. It's cool to have the autographs and the collectibles and stuff like that. But I just like having interactions with some of these people, because there's a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
I used to get starstruck, when I first started going to conventions, but at the end, it's just one of those, they're just people, just like we are. And you may have something in common.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, most of the time you probably will. I mean, that's the thing. I've never really gotten starstruck that I know of. I can't remember a time that I've been starstruck, and I don't know if it's just because my normal job, I I tend to be around people who
Sure.
have some kind of status to them, and you notice that they act normal anyway. So you're like, you lose that starstruckness. It's like seeing how
Right.
the hot dog's made kind of thing. You don't see it the same way, and so I'm trying to think of a time that I have been starstruck, but I
I
can't
don't
really think
think
of a
I've
time I've been
ever actually been so
starstruck that
starstruck that I
it's just been
couldn't
something.
talk, or, one of those. I mean,
Yeah.
the- I've
So
had a
it's
few
I'm thinking in
celebrities
my
where I've
head
been
now. I
so
can't.
excited to meet them that it's like I kind of, stumble over words, or, that type of thing. But I've never been, oh my gosh, it's, you know, Brad Pitt. I can't go up and talk to him. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, and I mean maybe it's just because we haven't met big enough, like like
I
some kind of
think Alice
major
Cooper
like.
for me was probably one of in Robert England. Those two were definitely two that like I kind of got not starstruck, but I was overly excited to meet them. Just I don't know, and that's
Yeah,
the thing too. Like when I think about it,
hmm.
is there
Like I say, and
anyone that I would be? I can't.
it would blow you off your sock, like what I mean, like that would just like. I'm trying to think in my head if there'd be someone that I would meet that would just like throw
Right,
me off so much that I couldn't
and like you said, with your
couldn't
line of
function.
work, and like with
But I can't really.
me after years of going to conventions and now getting into this business with you aspect of meeting clientele and all this stuff, it's not when I think about it, there's no one I can really think out there that would just knock me out. You know, like, oh man, that's so and so, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
especially
what's
after
the
you spend
opposite
a
of
weekend
starstruck where
with
you can't stand the
celebrities at a
celebrity after you meet them? Because I think we're both thinking of one or two of that.
Had that a few times. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can picture some people on that one, but
Yeah.
like we're not going to go into that one, but maybe in a future episode, maybe when,
Now
you
would
know,
be the
people are
time to do
listening.
it.
I know, right?
Yeah,
No,
it's
because then
cancel
someone would go back
culture.
and find
You
it
get
someday.
canceled 5 years from now for this.
Yeah. We don't need that. No. It'll be
If you ever
out
meet
there
us
in
in
the
person,
world
we'll
and
gladly tell you.
it'll just be gone forever. Yeah, more than happy to. More than happy to talk to you all. Yeah, and by the way, if you come to RaptorCon this year, find us, and
Oh,
I'm
for
sure we
sure.
will have a happy chat about it.
If you can
I
find
mean,
us while we're running
just how
around
it
like
is.
chickens with our heads cut off.
Have we done it? That is true. And we haven't done a shameless plug
Which
today
one?
yet, have we? No shameless
Matt,
plug
aren't
yet.
we
So
doing something
when is that
December
again?
10th
When is the convention?
in Evansville,
I think I had them on my
National
schedule
Guard,
for that day.
RaptorCon, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's like and then you know what we should do later? We should get on theraptorcon.com and
I
check
think
out
you're
what we were supposed to
right,
be doing,
and
because I think there was
tickets
some stuff
might
on
be
there
on
about it.
sale for what we're thinking of, and I think you have to go to
Are they? There might be.
theraptorcon.com.
The
And if I remember,
RaptorCon. That
and I
sounds
could be
familiar.
wrong about
That
this, but
does
if you
sound
get your
like something
tickets
I've heard.
now, you'll save money.
You will. There's a few dollars you could save there, and there's even like a special contest coming out pretty soon that like I can't even talk about, even though this podcast will be out after the contest comes out. I just
I
can't
think it
say
has something
it.
to do
I
with
just can't say it.
theraptorcon.com.
Yeah, I think it's on there. Theraptorcon.com.
Theraptorcon.com.
I think that
Okay,
was
that's
enough
the
of that,
last
don't you? So, I mean, we went over a lot of stuff. We went, Dominion and
and then Dominion's bullshit
celebrities.
again.
So that was pretty Dominion. Yeah, I just want to make sure that in case someone skipped to the end, they heard the beginning, that you should definitely go see
any movie
but Dominion.
I heard
Maverick was good.
Everything was good compared to Dominion.
Yeah, I heard. Remember that old, that real
DVD,
old Super Mario Brothers movie?
I don't care what you say. As a joke or not, that movie is great.
Yeah, I heard that.
I love that movie with the Goomba. And the reason why, because after I moved away from Evansville and went to North Posey, our gym teacher, shout out Mr. Eckert, I don't know what it was about the way his head was shaped and his face, but don't get me wrong, I'm not like talking shit about Mr. Eckert. He was a great teacher. He was awesome, but he straight up looked like the Goombas. And every time he'd be standing there on the sidelines or something, all I could think about is like when they grab their shoulders and get them swaying in the elevator. So rad. Ooh,
they go back.
What about
it wasn't a terrible movie.
That one was
it just
great
was
as well.
Double Dragon. Didn't that have the guy from Party of Five in it?
Blue and red,
Yeah.
They got their two pieces.
I don't know what his name is.
And it's got Robert Patrick's the bad guy.
Yeah. Oof.
It was Terminator. And
who's Robert Patrick? Oh, is that the
yep,
Terminator guy? Yeah.
I met him.
Is his name Robert Patrick?
Saying.
What it is?
He rides, or at least he actually owns a Harley dealership.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you didn't bring that. Yeah, just throw that in.
Yep. He's really big into motorcycles as well.
Does he?
You gotta be. It's better than being addicted to drugs, I guess. Yeah, you're right. At this point,
I don't know. It might be cheaper.
Don't do drugs, kids. Yeah,
stay off drugs.
Don't buy
and go to theraptorcon.com.
Buy a weekend pass at theraptorcon.com. Drugs are bad, okay?
And meet celebrities yourself.
That's great, though.
I feel like we're just going off on a tangent at this point.
Better than when you hit me with questions that I hate.
Those are the best.
I haven't thought about ever in my life.
I have even more questions next time. We just didn't get to them this time.
Hey, and to go back on,
I think we're almost running out of time again.
You remember that movie, The Ring? in the movie, like that VHS tape that they found in
Yeah.
the cabin. If you watch it 7 days later, you die. I would watch that every day for 7 days, then watch Dominion again.
Yeah, I agree. I concur.
Yeah,
I
save your
concur with
money
that
on
an
Dominion
idea.
tickets and
So.
use them for Raptor tickets.
All right, guys.
Yeah, dinosaur.
RaptorCon tickets.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
dinosaurs
dinosaurs
go
both
both
ways. It works. I doubt
Will
Universal
be
is going to be sponsoring us at any point.
universally
So
sponsored. It's not by Universal Studios.
exactly. All right, guys. Well, that is podcast number 3. Technically, we did film one before this. We're having some technical difficulties with, so this may become 2. Who knows at this point? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. They'll all be out at some point.
I am Garrett.
Sure. But
Stay
I
nerdy.
am Matt, and that is the Rusty Raptor Podcast.